The opinions expressed are those of the host. The material is for informational purposes only. It does not constitute investment advice, and it is not intended as an endorsement for any specific investment. Visit crestmontpw.com for more details.
Welcome to the Ascent. This is Sam McGee with Crestmont Private Wealth. We have offices in Houston, Texas, and Boerne, Texas. And today, it's just me. It's me, Sam McGee, the owner, and I'm a CFA charter holder. Got my MBA in finance at University of Houston. My alma mater is Texas A&M University. Believe it or not, got a marketing degree way back in 1998, which officially makes me old and irrelevant to young people. Okay, but if you are listening, I do care that you hear what I have to share today, whether you're younger, older, or medium like me, somewhere in between. We're talking about compounding, and I'm going to make this very relevant to life as well as finance. And I think it's super, super important to really understand this concept. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to challenge you to Google the formula for the compound interest. What is the formula, the mathematical formula for compounding interest? And the reason why I want you to do this is because it is such a simple formula. It is so easy to understand. And if you just spend even half an hour, even if you're an artist that doesn't even understand math, you will understand how this formula works. And it is essentially these components: time, interest rate, the number of times that interest is compounded per year, original principal to lead to a future value. Now, why are we talking about this today? You know, this is an investing show, a financial literacy show, but it's also a life show. And we bring on guests all the time to talk about things like mental health, to talk about giving, to talk about first responders and what they're doing in the community. So I'm going to relate this a little bit to investing, but I'm also going to relate it to life. And I'm going to start with life so I don't lose your attention. So think about compounding like going to the gym. So I know a ton of people here in town that go to Planet Fitness, they go to Core, they go to someplace down in town, the 24-hour, whatever you call that, all sorts of different gyms, guys that work out at the fire station. Anyway, do you go in and work out once and come back a month later and do it once and end up getting any kind of gains from that? Absolutely not. And the reason for that is because it requires discipline and consistency, okay? Consistency. Now, in the formula for compounded interest, that's the number of times compounded per year. So think about investing sort of like working out. If you work out 1 or 2 times a year or every so often, are you going to end up with the kind of gains that you want? Well, maybe not, okay? Now, you could apply that to something negative, all right? So if I eat ice cream compounded every single night with a eggnog latte first thing in the morning for breakfast every single day, do you think Sam is going to fit through this door going into Boerne Radio in about 2 months? No, I'm going to need probably some assistance. I'll be coming in a wheelbarrow. So my point is, what you do and what you do consistently, what you feed your body, what you feed your mind, leads to a future result. Now, we see this in so many things in life, and this is why I'm talking about this in generality before we get into compounding of money. Because if you can understand all these other concepts, and as ridiculous as they may be, somebody out there right now is listening to this and going, okay, I'm starting to get it. So, similar thing, maintenance on a car. If you're going to go and rotate your tires and you're going to change your oil and you're going to do the things that are necessary consistently over time through discipline, your car is going to last longer, right? Makes sense. If you go to the dentist every 6 months or every 90 days and you get your teeth cleaned, you're going to have a healthier set of gums, healthier teeth, brighter smile. You brush your teeth, you floss your teeth, you're consistent about it, you end up in a better place, okay? Have we got the concept here? I imagine we probably have. I'm probably going to beat a dead horse, and I don't want to do that. So let's get back to compound interest. So again, I'm going to explain the components of the formula of compound interest. You have time. You have the number of times that compounding occurs given a certain interest rate, and you have original principal. And you can also have a derivative of this formula, which is the number of contributions into this formula. Like if you're giving into it, you're putting money into your portfolio on a frequent basis. Well, in this particular example, I'm going to go ahead and give you the formula. So future value equals principal, parentheses, 1 plus R over N, parentheses, exponential NT. I probably lost about 99% of my audience. But go look it up. And it is such a cool thing for us finance people to look at and go, oh my gosh, it's really just that simple. And the biggest component to this, in my opinion, on the educational side, is not necessarily the interest rate or the rate of return, which is important, by the way. It is important. I'm not diminishing it. I'm not saying it's not important, but it's time and it's consistency. And so, at Crestmont Private Wealth, we've worked with families that end up with $3-4 million that worked in public service. That they weren't, people that made $190,000 base salaries and, won the lottery. We do have some people that made 7 figures a year and still do. And some of the families we work with just followed this formula that they started early. They put away money in their 401k or their 403b or in a brokerage account. They did it consistently. There's a particular individual that I won't name because it would be an endorsement, but a lot of people buy his books, listen to him on podcasts. He's a little older than me, and his first name is Dave. I love his show. I think it's so good. I don't agree with everything he says, but the one thing that I do like is how he talks about the consistency of putting away and paying yourself forward. With compounding, that's really what you're doing. You are deciding it may be a good time to invest in your mind. It may be a bad time to invest in your mind, or you're unsure, but you have a plan, a consistent plan that's a part of your budget that every month or every quarter or once a year, you're going to put it away in a proper allocation for you for your future. And that consistency, if you go back to this formula and you put in how often you contribute versus just doing lump sum, and you might be very surprised at the results. Number one, making consistent contributions into your own portfolio over time more frequently will actually give you a better average cost of entry than just doing it one time a year. We don't believe in market timing at Crestmont Private Wealth, but let's be real, let's be honest. If you only contributed to your portfolio one time a year and you did it, say, 25 times over your lifetime, and it just happened to be that half of those months were not so great, it's going to skew your performance a little bit. So we generally would recommend that if you are in the accumulation phase, you have enough money to go buy, 50 coffees a month, you can afford to invest in your future. It's just a matter of trade-offs. It's a trade-off of choices, and it's a hard decision. You have to make choices. Most people have to make choices of spend now, save now, give now, or invest for the future. And I really think all 4 components need to be a part of your financial plan. Giving is very important. It's good for the heart. It's good for the community. Saving, very important for emergencies. Spending, of course, because you have to live and do the things that you want to do. But investing should be that 4th pillar. And unfortunately, it's kind of like landscaping when you're building a house. It comes at the very end in most people's mind, and usually the first thing to get cut, right? And so people kind of get to the end of a home build project, and they're like, we'll just do that later. And then they look up in 20 years and, they've got a wasteland, right? You don't want that with your investment portfolio. So do yourself a favor. Write this down on your hand if you get to a stoplight, or if you're listening to this at home, write down compound interest formula. Look at that. Talk to your kids about it. Just even the basic concept of what that means in the future for them when they're going to live, another 70 years, 60 years, Or maybe you're 50 and you're listening to this and you're thinking, well, it's a little too late. Well, it's not, because a lot of people around here are going to live to 80, 90, 100 years old. That's a long time from 50. At least that's what I'm telling myself, because I turned 50 last month. So I hope so. Okay. So we've talked a little bit about compound interest formula, and I didn't get into the super nitty gritty of how the mechanics work, but I'll explain it to you like this. When you're investing and you get a return on that investment, and then you get a further return on the original principal plus on what has been gained, that is compound interest. So you're getting gains on gains. And it takes a long period of time for the power of compounding to work. A lot of people refer to this as the hockey stick, that if you start early, and yes, there is investing risks. Yes, you can lose principal. Yes, performance of the past is not guaranteed. Obviously, yes, you can lose value investing. There is risk to investing. But the longer you look out into the future, the longer your investment time horizon, the more likely, historically, that you are going to be able to realize long-term compound rate of returns. That leads to my last and final point. There is a tendency, and there's people out there listening to this right now that want to time the market. They want to try to invest when things are good, and they want to pull out when they think things are going to go bad. Politically or the economy. Okay, do yourself another favor. Open up any financial planning internet-based software that's out there and take a look at the S&P 500 index. And take that all the way back to the date you were born. If you were listening to this, more than likely, if I haven't lost you yet, you're probably over the age of 20. Tell me if you would have held money during that entire period, if you lost money, if you just stayed invested. How many times have you, listener, pulled out of the market, sold something because you were scared, or decided now's the time to invest? It is time. It is time that really, truly, truly can make such a big impact, and having the right portfolio for you that's constructed for your risk tolerance and your time horizon. So I hope this has been useful to you. And, if anything, if you listen to the gym part and, you're working out one day a month and maybe you start working out 3 days a week. I'm one of those 1 day a month guys. So maybe I should take my own advice. Anyway, this has been a fun show. We've had a great year here at Bernie Radio, and I just want to thank Barron and his wife for just putting on this production, and Roland as well. As we head into the new year, it's been a great almost 18 months producing this, and we're going to continue doing that, getting this out to our podcast and locally here on Bernie Radio on Saturday mornings. I hope everyone out there had a wonderful Christmas and a great start to the new year. I hope your 2026 is very prosperous, and God bless.